Hey guys, this is a weekly analysis. So if you've never been a part of one of these before, this will be a little bit longer of video. I go a lot more in depth and kind of project where we could be going. So looking at today's intraday, if you look at yesterday, we had that nice V bottom and we just rallied end of day. Today was pretty much the polar opposite. We had a nice move up and then we put in this 401.4 resistance right here. And on this candle, I actually entered a call and got really burnt on it, but it was really looking like we were about to break through here finally and maybe retest that 402.2 resistance. However, as far as I can tell, the only bad news that I saw was related to the Gazprom cutting off the EU gas pipeline or something like that. And pretty much from there, we just went on a nice $11.23 sell-off in about 3 hours. So quite the impressive sell-off to pretty much encompass the whole day of yesterday's price action. So that was definitely something. So here we go on the weekly. So we're gonna zoom out here first. So you can see we're still in this nice green downward channel. This is our red bear market current channel. So this is the June recovery. So this is the June 17th bottom and then also a July 14th bounce. So we have actually bounced. We didn't actually hit it, but we did bounce just short of it twice now. Now the other thing to see here is this 391 level is a level that I called out on the daily that when I was talking about playing level to level, that I mentioned until we break that level, it is not expected to see any lower. So the one interesting thing, when we look at our sell-offs that happened throughout this year, and I talked about this last week on Friday too, the average sell-off from peak to trough has been 15 days and 13.3%. Currently, SPY from the high right here at 431.73 has fallen for 13 days now total, and it's been a $41.69 drop or a 10.7% drop. So we are about 2 days away from the average sell-off, and we are just about 3% short. Now, obviously, there's been some days that it's been 7, 13, 10, 31, and then sell-offs have been 10.4, 13, 13, 16.7. So 13 seems to be a pretty solid number of where we could go. So if we were to see Tuesday and Wednesday, the rest of the sell-off happen, that would actually put us at about 379.9, which is right here, and it would put us on the 7th, which would be right here. So we could potentially see about right here if that is what actually happens. So that's something to keep an eye on for next week. However, looking at this chart, there's actually some bullishness to be made from it. So we got to think long term. Markets are forward looking. So next week is the week before CPI. CPI is on the 13th. As of right now, which this is kind of surprising to me, there is not a projection for CPI. So usually about 2 weeks out, maybe a little bit longer, they give us a forecast and a consensus of what they expect CPI to be, and there is not one yet. So that is interesting to me. Now, mind you, the last CPI they had out, they had the projection out, but then they actually amended it, I think 2 different times to be more better, which ended up obviously coming in lower. So looking at the bullishness here. So this is what I'm watching, and you can kind of see the same thing happen right here. We had 2 candles now attempt to break through 390, which is right here, 390.2, and they have failed to do so. We have failed to close below 391 level support twice now. It's not quite a double bottom, but it's close. I am actually expecting next week to see a potential bounce up here. And I talked about it last night, but I was actually expecting to see it start today, which we did do. And I was going to expect it to continue into probably Tuesday and then see the sell-off, but now obviously things have been changed a little bit. So it was doing exactly what I thought it was going to do. However, you see we rejected this daily 8 EMA here. Smoked it and then just dumped. So what I'm looking for next week is 392.2 is key support. If a candle closes below that, most likely it's going to just close below 391 and 390. But that is the next key support on the daily. I'm expecting, I don't know what we're going to do. Apparently, I mean, usually 3-day weekends present a pretty big move. Usually that move I do feel like is bullish. Usually we gap up big on 3-day weekends or whatever. Which the nice thing about this daily candle here is that it's not going to matter where we gap up or don't gap up, because we're going to just it'd be impossible. I mean, not impossible, but very unlikely for us to gap up. Almost $11 to gap over where the high of the day. So I'm looking for 392.2 support to hold, and probably by Tuesday, which is right here, we should be testing this 400.3 level, but I'm really going to be looking for a 405.2 test. My theory for next week is that we're going to see Monday's closed, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and move to the upside. Usually about 3 days before CPI, we see markets attempt to price in CPI. Usually they do that by selling off. Not always. If you look at August 10th, which is right here, you see we did have a little dump into it, which that was even a good expected CPI, but this was really a pretty mild sell-off. If you look back at July 13th, let me see if I can find it here, sorry. This is July 13th CPI, so you can see here we had this nice, pretty good size sell-off, and that's usually what we're seeing before CPI, so that's kind of what I'm expecting. So what I'm expecting is a move up to 405.2. I don't think we get through it, which this is going to be the 12th, so that'd be next Monday, to test this level right here, this blue recovery top resistance. So I'm going to look for that. Basically, until we lose 391, preferably 390 because of the weekly support, I am bullish in the aspect of either consolidation or move to the upside. Once we close a candle below 390, then I'm looking for 360s, 370s. So looking at the weekly, this is where it matters the most for the levels. You can see we held 390 perfectly this week. So until we close a candle below 390, we should expect a move up. Next week's resistance for this downward cycle we're in right now is about 397. Until we break 397, we should not expect a total breakout. So we'll watch for 397 next week, and then supports at 390. And then we have this recovery from back at the June lows would be about 388.5. If we break through this recovery line right here, then I do expect us to end up selling off and probably testing the weekly 200 EMA, which is right around 367 right now. So I put this purple line in here right here, and you can look back from the March to June low. And you can even see we did have a nice bounce in there before we dumped, which this is CPI week right here. This is kind of the similar trajectory that I'm expecting. So it shows that by October 31st, we could see as low as 332. Now, of course, there's a bunch of levels between there, but that's just a potential where we could end up. So this is kind of just looking right now. We're obviously seem like we're in this trend. You can see we're making moves. But overall, major levels to watch is 390 and pretty much 400, 402. Looking at futures, same thing. It held this support line, has not broke through it. This level right here is pretty much the key for Monday, or for Tuesday, I mean, is going to be 39.25. And then from there, it's where we're going to kind of continue the cycle down, or we're going to test the 39.60 and probably eventually end up here around 40.25. Looking at the futures, we have the same sort of trajectory here. Shows that we could see the 3300s by October, end of October, beginning of November. Same thing here. We held nice weekly support at 3900. And we have not broken through that. So 3900 actually next week, because futures candles, especially the weeklies, are going to be a little different than SPYs because obviously of the trading time frame. So you can see our recovery line, which actually has 3 support tests on it, which makes it a much stronger support line, will be exactly at 3900. So if futures at any point next week loses 3900, we should expect a further downside, and that would be a good time to go long on some puts, probably 14 to 30 DTE. However, to the upside, we have the key 4,000 level, and then eventually 40.25 to watch. So our major levels for next week are going to be 40.25 and 3,900. So Apple. Apple's another interesting one. So that support line that I was telling you that on the daily that SPY has held, Apple broke through that yesterday, which I mentioned in the daily TA. However, Apple has still failed to close below the daily 200 EMA, which is right here at 155.5. Today, it really looked like it wanted to and was going to, but it failed to do so. Until Apple closes a candle below that daily 200 EMA, we should expect upside, not downside. So you can see back here, the first time Apple tried to break its daily was right here. That was also the Ukraine war, so that's a little bad time to kind of compare, but this is a better time right here. So you can see we broke below it, and then it immediately shot up. So the 200 EMA is a big deal. So you can say the same thing here. We spent a lot of time on Apple trying to break through the 200, but once we did, it dumped. So I think we're going to see the same thing here. And it was the same thing trying to get back over the 200. We spent a lot of consolidation, retest, and then we rocketed. So I'm expecting a similar thing here. We're going to spend a lot of consolidation before we finally. So this 155.5 is going to be a very, very important level for next week. Looking at Apple's weekly, I love this chart. I just feel like it's so clean. So let me put this over here for you guys too, so you can see what I'm talking about. So same thing. I have the purple trajectory from March to June low. That shows that Apple could see by end of October 125. And it actually goes even better with the resistance line. I feel like it's a little bit more off if you look at the weekly here compared to Apple's, but it's actually pretty perfect with the Apple's resistance line. So that's something to keep in mind too. So I mentioned playing level to level, which I did earlier in the week. I didn't mess with it much after that because of the bounce we had here on Thursday. So next week, 156.3 key level. This is that recovery. So the daily's already broken through it on Thursday. So we should suspect that Apple weekly will break through it sometime this week. So once we lose 156.3, that should start a bigger downside movement overall on Apple and then obviously the rest of the market. However, if we happen to hold that support line, which is very possible with a 3-day weekend if we have a bullish movement, so that's only about not even a dollar jump up, which is like 0.5% or something like that open, which isn't a big deal for Apple. We could hold this and then we could retest 157.5, and then actual resistance for the downward movement is actually at 161. So Apple actually shows a good amount of upside for next week and still being in the carrot top right here to go back down. So keep an eye on Apple. Apple breaks down, especially if it finally breaks through 154, then we're going to start seeing a bigger sell-off here. Again, I still have the same expectations, and Apple even gives better room for it. We hold where we are. We see a little upside, 161, and then eventually we start to sell off end of next week. Watching the VIX had a big day today. Lots of movement. We had almost $3 full in movement, which is a pretty good movement. Considering the VIX, it's only had about $2 in movement the last couple days here. So in the morning, we had a huge sell-off, and we came back down and tested this 23.3 level. We broke down just below it, and then we bounced when we had that big sell-off, and we went all the way back up to 26.3. However, it failed to close above 25.5 again. I was mentioning this bull flag that was forming here. Well, this big candle down just said that's not a bull flag anymore. It means it's actually downside. So you can see we still have the recovery channel up here, which would be the, I guess, in a way, fear and volatility going up. However, going down, next week, we're going to keep an eye here. So we're trading back in this 18.8 to 25.5 level. As long as we're below 25.5, I am bullish. So once VIX starts closing up here and starts steadily moving back up and eventually into the 30s, that's when we're going to see the big move down. And again, like I was saying all week, markets need a reason to sell off. This morning, markets were rallying. And even yesterday, Thursday, they were rallying. So sellers need a reason to sell. Today, apparently the gas line was the reason, I guess. I don't know. But, yeah, so it'll be interesting to see what happens next week. Overall, I go into it with a bullish mindset early in the week that will turn bearish by end of week. Crypto, so we're still in our downward channel here. Bitcoin is just consolidating. So you can see here, every time we've consolidated, it has led to a bigger move. This one was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 days, and then it dumped. So we're at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Going on our 8th day right now without a move. So there's a bigger move coming in crypto. Even here, this was kind of the biggest consolidation period right here, was from July 29th to August 18th. So key levels to keep an eye on for Bitcoin are going to be 20.3 and 19.5. Until one of these breaks, I don't really see a big direction for the market. If Bitcoin this weekend breaks down and shows some closes under 19.5, and even next week, then that should really be the big signal that we're about to see the big sell-off come. However, if like this week where it was really trying to break out, we break out and close over 20.3, that is going to confirm my theory, and this is kind of what I expect from crypto this weekend. Actually, as a green weekend, it's going to confirm my theory that we're going to see some upside before we see downside. So, all right, I hope you guys had a good trading week, and I will see you guys next week. Thanks for tuning into this video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. If you like what you saw, go ahead and hit the like and subscribe button to stay updated. I am providing my Discord link right here. That's a lifetime link. If it doesn't work, go ahead and send me a message and I will get you a new link. I do have a pre-market update I do every day where I update with supports and resistances and different scenarios that might play out through the day. I also do a live commentary throughout the day with updates and changes, and I do push out buy and sell alerts on SPY and other tickers that I'm trading at the time. Currently, membership is $20 per month or $228 per year. You can follow me on YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, or TikTok under SPY Optionaire, or Reddit under Daddy Dirsch.